Howdy, partners, and welcome to Content Farms. It's me, Farmer OGGM, coming to you live at 12:14 in the afternoon here on this all old 28th day of September in the year of our Lord, Steve the Cat, 2023. It's about 74 degrees and sunny here at Content Farms, and you might be wondering why I'm bringing up content farming again, because it's time. Oh, yes, it's time. It's time to spin the wheel of tabletop role-playing game irrelevance. And this week, the topic is content farming. People accusing me of content farming, and people accusing my good friend, DMJ. Well, I don't know if we're good friends, but definitely internet. We know of each other. We've talked. We've played Minecraft together. DM James recently apparently was accused of content farming, of having no originality, of just recklessly stealing other people's content and taking credit for it. And, you know, other people saying, oh, it's cool if James does it, but if you steal James's content, you're awful, you know. So I think we once again need to define content farming as opposed to open source content as opposed to collective unconsciousness. So let's just head on over to my friend DM James's channel, shall we, and see what videos he is being accused of content farming. Okay, so, well, there's our good friend Jessica. Let's see. We've got James doing videos about Warhammer. James doing videos about big stompy mechs. We've got James doing video about terrain, 3D printing. We got James doing Battlefield Gothic. James doing videos about Warhammer. James doing a lot of James videos are about big stompy mechs, Warhammer 40K, stuff like that. And some old school D&D, but mostly he's a Warhammer painting guy. He paints Warhammer figures, he paints mechs, he paints armies, he does Battletech, he does Necromando, he does Gaslands. He's a miniature guy. And most of his videos are about painting videos. And then he just talks. He just directionless talking. He'll respond to posts on his Discord and in his chats. You know, he might have a subject. He's very, very devout Catholic, so he might talk about that while he's painting. He's a very, very hardcore Republican, so he might talk about that while he's painting. But generally, his videos are just nonsense. He talks to his brother. He talks to other people. So apparently, James is content farming. I guess by that definition, I'm content farming. Hi, we know who that belongs to. It's Jessica. It's our good friend Jessica Nagiri. So yes, perhaps we need to define the difference between content farming, open source, and collective unconsciousness. All right. So content farming. Let's look at what the thing says. Okay, let's go to the Wikipedia. See if it, by definition. A content farm is a company that employs large numbers of freelance writers to use automated tools to generate a large amount of textual web content, which is basically specifically designed to satisfy algorithms to maximum material for search engines. The main goal is to generate advertising revenue through attracting readers' page views as first exposed to context social spam. So that will explain, you know, bots, basically. Bots that constantly bombard your channels with ads for things, or bots designed to give the illusion that your channel is generating hits to trick the algorithm to maximize retrieval on your search engine, which is why if you would look and go to like country that will most interacting with your YouTube or your Twitch or your Twitter channel, you go to the specifics of which country, you'll see countries like Russia and China and Vietnam and India rating as the #1 countries that are visiting your channel. Well, that doesn't mean people from Russia are visiting your channel. No, it means bots are visiting your channel and content farm algorithm things. Now, in regards to our hobby specifically, when James is getting accused of content farming, what he's being and what I get accused of when I'm told is person X makes a video about subject cheese. Then James goes to that video channel, watches the video the guy made about cheese. There's an extra cord coming out of my computer, and I don't know what it goes to. Weird. James goes to the video that that guy made about cheese. He sees how many views the guy has gotten about his video makes cheese. He pretty much copies the exact same video and then just regurgitates exactly what he saw, hoping that the same amount of attention that original video about cheese got will come to him. And if that's, exclusive to that guy, like that guy is the only guy who has the information on that cheese, and James repeats it verbatim, then yeah, that is content farming. That means, or content stealing. If I go on to DM Bloodworth's video about cheese, and then I make a video about cheese, am I stealing his idea, stealing his content? No. James makes a video about Games Workshop. It doesn't mean he's content farming Games Workshop, because this falls into the open source collective unconsciousness of the hobby. Now, if we just do a search here on the YouTube for and enter Games Workshop as the thing, okay, we can see. Hold on a sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 things directly or indirectly relating to Games Workshop product, including the Games Workshop channel. GM James is not content farming Games Workshop or Ralpartha or any of the other companies that he makes content about, because it is open source. It is out there on the web. All GM James has to do is go Games Workshop and whatever figures he wants to paint. So if he wants to do Games Workshop and he wants to do, I don't know, Colonial Marines, right? That's a big thing, right? So you go to Colonial Marines and he goes, yeah, okay, I want to do something about Colonial. I want to paint some Colonial Marines, and I want to paint some Colonial Marines the way they painted them on Warhammer. So I'm going to go to the Games Workshop channel and look at the way they painted them, and then I'm going to paint them and talk about painting them. Oh, look, here they are. Here's them. I want to paint mine to look kind of like that. And while I'm doing my video, I'm going to talk about Warhammer and whatever else happens to come to mind. That's a typical DM James video. That is not content farming, okay? Because it's out there. It is not unique to Games Workshop. There are hundreds of other people commenting. James did not go onto your site and copy and paste your video talking about cheese or talking about Games Workshop. Same with me. I have been accused recently of content farming. Okay, so if I go onto a tabletop role-playing game news site, take the news, read it back to you, adding my own spin on it, again, that's not content farming. That's reading the news, okay? That news is made available to dozens of hundreds of people every day. It takes no effort on my part. It is not unique to that individual. I am not content farming. James is not content farming. That is not what content farming is. James, dozens of videos about tabletop role-playing game and Warhammer and Battletech and Necromunda and Gothic Fleet, or talking with his brother or whatever. Not content farming. He is not disrespecting you. He is not stealing your stuff. So, yeah. The other thing is collective unconsciousness. And people get accused of, oh, he farmed my content because he made a video about X. And that's where just a topic comes up, and generally over a 2 or 3 week time, a bunch of us make a video about the exact same topic, even whether we're aware that other people did it or not. Now, you'll see that I often do videos about Wizards of the Coast, right? And I often do videos about like the Wizards of the Coast timeline, where the 2020 talk and the timeline and that 2027 date. Now, some of that is insider information because I still own 1 share of Hasbro stock and I am a member of Gamma. So yes, some of that is inside information, but most of that information comes from press releases. It's on the Hasbro site. It's on the Hasbro Pulse site. None of the information that I give when I talk about Wizards of the Coast is proprietary. So if 2 days later you see that DM's Bloodworth has done a video about the same thing, now you could say, hey, you're stealing OGGM's content. But no, because again, collective unconsciousness says that information is out there, and we all generally get hit with the same, that company's doing something about the same time. Then our brains process it, and maybe I do it first because I have a bit of, I'm more connected to the pulse than, say, Bloodworth. But if Bloodworth does it, he's not stealing my content. I can't go, oh, DM Bloodworth stole my content because he did a video basically about the Hasbro timeline in regards to Wizards of the Coast 3 days after I did one. No, because again, that's out there. That's general knowledge. It's open source. It is not unique to me. The only time in our hobby that you would be content farming is if I have you information that is unique to me. I make a video about that, and then you make a video about the exact same subject without giving me any credit, when you're basically just repeating verbatim what I said, when there is absolutely no way you would have known that unless you watched my video, and then you claim, I didn't watch that guy's video, then yeah, that's probably content farming. But even then, that's hard to prove, especially in tabletop role-playing. It is very hard to prove that anybody is stealing anybody else's content unless they are copying you word by word, because there's only so much information that's available to us. And we all get the information about the same time from mostly the same sources. So Wizards of the Coast does something on Monday. All the pro Wizards of the Coast people are going to be talking about it sometime between Monday afternoon and Thursday. And all the anti-Wizards of the Coast people are going to be talking about it between sometime late Monday afternoon and Thursday. And we're going to talk about it because it's newsworthy and it affects our hobby. So going back to my friend DM James and the accusations of content farming and being disrespectful or whatever else people are accusing him from, I just want to again head on over to his channel here, and still talking with my farmer voice. I'm not sure why. I apologize if I'm offending anybody. You know how it is. Once you get locked into a silly accent, it's kind of hard to lose it. So here's James' channels. Check him out. As you can see, figures, talking to his brother, figures, politics, music, figures, Conan, figures, philosophy, Mech Warrior, AD&D, figures. Okay, so if anybody who's saying that he's disrespectful, that he's stealing other people's content without giving them credit, that he's just a thief and a liar, perhaps if you actually A, understood the definition of content farming, and B, actually watched his videos, this is not content farming. Him buying a group of armies and painting them and talking about painting them, that is not content farming. Even if you are the CEO of Games Workshop, you cannot accuse him of stealing your intellectual property. All he's doing is painting and talking about it. And I'm sorry, that's not content farming. And there's definitely things I dislike about DM James, especially when it comes to his politics, but generally he's a nice guy, and he's always been sort of cool with me, and is always the kind of guy where I'm going to go, yeah, he's pretty cool. I mean, if you just want to watch some guy talk about figures, there you go. He's been around, he's a dude, whatever. But yeah, awful human being who needs to be disrespected and insulted because he steals content, blah, 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 blah. No, he doesn't. If probably the person who is making the claims is actually the content farmer and actually trying to clout chase by calling out DM James for something he didn't do. And if you go to my channel, you will see that it's just me responding to news. So again, you can't really call me a content farmer when the news is public knowledge. And all I'm doing is rereading it and then adding my take on it based upon my experience and my insight and my ideas. Ideas which are, of course, always subject to change if somebody can later on present me with different information than what I have access to. Then, of course, I grind it up and regurgitate it through my specific lens of the character of the OGGM, just like James does with his or anybody else. We all have the way we present the information, but it's not. That's way too much time I've spent defending my friend DM James. He's an adult. He can defend himself. But basically, this video is to explain to you yet again what content farming is, and in relations to the tabletop role-playing game hobby and the YouTubers who are making tabletop role-playing game content. Yeah, pretty much most of us, no. 99% of us is not content farming. We're just talking about the same thing. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you think I'm a deceitful liar who has no experience and no education, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe. And if you want to get some content to farm, you could do no better than buying my content. That's right. There's a link down below where you can head on over to the Red Room and buy my merch, my amazing merch. I'll talk to y'all later. Shout out to DM James in case you didn't guess. See ya.